What's up? What's good? Welcome in. It is game day. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers report right here on Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and coming up, we're going to set the stage for Niners Lions in the NFC Championship game. San Francisco going into this ball game 7-point favorites. So favored by a touchdown at home at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. And the odds makers expecting a lot of points to be scored with the over-under checking in at 51.5. Kickoff begins 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 for those of you who will be at the game or hanging out on the West Coast. And we're running it back with another watch party right here on the Niners Report. So we'll see you 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific, a 2-hour pregame show where we will once again preview this game and get you set for kickoff. Let's begin our mega preview here with an injury report for San Francisco and an injury report for the Detroit Lions. On the Niners injury front, all these players listed on the injury report this week. Deebo Samuel with that shoulder, which we covered ad nauseum all week long. Eric Armstead played really well last week against the Packers. Foot and knee. That was his first game back into the lineup since playing against the Eagles in Week 13. Dre Greenlaw, big play. Dre nursing that Achilles injury still, but that didn't keep him from intercepting Jordan Love twice to punch the Niners' ticket to the NFC Championship game. George Odom biceps returned against Green Bay, the special teams ace, and Ambry Thomas. A little bit of a rough go against the Packers. He's going to have to play better against this elite and very, very talented Detroit Lions offense. Lions injury news here. Jonah Jackson, knee injury. He's their left guard. We talked about him all throughout the week. Doesn't look as though he's going to play. Sam Laporta, knee. He'll play because he has been playing, but he is a little bit banged up. Frank Ragnow is so banged up, we couldn't even list all of his injuries here on the graphic. He has an ankle, a knee, a toe, a foot, a lot of different ailments for the All-Pro center here in 2023. Khalif Raymond knee, Alex Anzalone, very solid and energetic linebacker, shoulder and ribs, and then Josh Reynolds also dealing with a little bit of a rib injury. Now, the Niners this year played 17 regular season games. They played one game in the playoffs, so this will be easy math, game number 19. It's honestly the healthiest that San Francisco has been all year. So you have everything kind of working in your favor if you're the Niners. You have great health. You have home field advantage. You're 7-point favorites. And hopefully, you were able to flush that sloppy, rusty, uneven game against the Packers, and this Niners team can get back to looking like the team that we know that they can be, which I think is the best, most multiple, most talented, and deepest team in the National Football League. If they do that, I think they can dominate, not just win, but dominate the Detroit Lions. But it's not going to be easy. My key things to watch in this NFC title bout, and these are two heavyweights for sure. I think in the NFC and the AFC, and this is very rare sometimes, we have the best 4 remaining teams in football. Niners, Lions, 2 top teams in the NFC, and then Chiefs, Ravens, 2 top teams in the AFC with the way that Kansas City has been able to come on and the way that they've played so far in the playoffs. So let's start off with my key things to watch. Number 1, it's going to be the play of Jared Goff. Over the last year and a half, he's played really, really well. He's gotten back his confidence, which he lost at the end of his Rams tenure. And then early on with Detroit, didn't really play on a good team. And he was trying to recapture some of that mental fortitude. Well, he's been able to do that. And this year, maybe his best season as a pro with all things considered. He completed 67% of his passes. He threw for almost 4,600 yards, 30 touchdowns, 212 interceptions. What's fascinating about Jared Goff and this Lions team, they have not played an outdoor game since November when they really, really struggled against the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. And the indoor-outdoor splits for Jared Goff are wild. Indoors this year, he's played 11 games. He's completed 69% of his passes. Outdoors, 6 games, completion percentage goes down to 64.5. Yards in 11 games indoors, nearly 3,000. Outdoors, they obviously go down with less games played, but if you were to double some of these numbers, like touchdown-interception ratio and sacks, and you get that 6-game total to about 12, it's pretty even. And indoors, Goff, 23 touchdowns, 8 picks, outdoors, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks. If you doubled up his sacks, he can't communicate as well outdoors as compared to indoors because a lot of those outdoor games are on the road. He's been sacked 15 times in 6 games playing outside. And then indoors, he's only been sacked 15 times because 8 of those games have come at Ford Field in Detroit. And then as you can see on the screen, his rating indoors, 104, outdoors, 87.9. And I think it's going to be really important for San Francisco to generate a pass rush, especially getting an interior push against a banged-up Detroit Lions offensive line and get in the face of Jared Goff, where his feet get a little bit wobbly and he's questioning what he's seeing. If he can drop back and he can pick you apart and he's in a clean pocket, he's very good. But when he's pressured, he's simply not the same efficient quarterback. His true completion percentage this year, 74%, number 5 in the NFL. His deep ball completion percentage, Brock Purdy, number 1, by the way, 48%, that's 6 in the NFL. When he's pressured, his completion percentage goes down to 53.1%. That's 20th in the NFL. But when he has a clean pocket, 70.5%. That is a 17% difference from pressured to a clean pocket, and that's good for 6th in the NFL. And when Jared Goff is under pressure, he has completed just 51% of his passes, according to Pro Football Focus. So some of these metrics are a little bit different depending on the database and how they calculate it. He's thrown 6 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He's been pressured on 21% of his snaps this year, but he's only scrambled 7 times. So he is not mobile at all. He has heavy feet. He's not athletic, and he's not quick, and you don't have to worry about him burning you with his legs. His passer rating went under pressure, 62.9. But when he is kept clean in the pocket, it's 116.1, the second best mark in the NFL, which is behind 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy. What is your level of confidence in a Niners win? The meter here goes from 1 to 100. 1, not confident at all. 100, supremely confident. Chime in with how you're feeling right now in the comment section. I'll let you know how I'm feeling about Game Time. It's the only app that I use when it comes to buying tickets. And I'm a very busy guy covering the NFL, covering the NBA, college football, Major League Baseball. I do it all here at Chat Sports. I'm looked at as a guy who has to help people out with their on-air presentation behind the scenes. I got my running streak approaching 300 days. I'm always on the go, and I'm always grinding. And I never know what my schedule is going to bring about. So I always buy tickets to sporting events at the very last moment. And that's why I love Game Time, because you're guaranteed to get the lowest price at the last possible moment. And if you want to go to the NFC Championship game on Sunday, tickets still available at Levi Stadium, or like my boy Words of Wisdom, who's trying to go to Las Vegas if the Niners win, if you want to go to the big game in Las Vegas, if the Niners do advance, you can get $100 off when you use the code Vegas100. If you want to go to a different event, like a Golden State Warriors game, a theater event, comedy show, or concert, you can get $20 off when you use the code NinersChat. So a couple of different codes for you that allows you to save money. All of this information available for you down in the comments section and in the description of this video. Key thing to watch number 2, it's going to be the Niners offensive game plan. And during our live show, I was asked, do you think the Niners are going to run it? Do you think that Brock Purdy can have success in targeting the Lions secondary? The answer to that latter question is yes. In-depth Lions defensive numbers. These are numbers since week 10. Rushing defense EPA, number 3. Their rush defense success rate is at number 5. So they're good against the run. And that could alter the game plan for Kyle Shanahan, Christian McCaffrey, and San Francisco. But their pass defense, not good at all. It's number 29 in the NFL, and their pass defense success rate, number 30. Only 2 teams were worse. Washington Commanders, Arizona Cardinals. Brock Purdy fared very well against those other teams. And you look further at how the Lions' rushing defense compares to their passing defense. Yards per rush, 3.8, 5th in the NFL. Rushes per game, 23, 3rd in the NFL. rushing yards per game, 87.2, number 2 in the NFL. But against the pass, they are giving up and allowing 7.3 yards per pass, that's 30th. Passes per game, 35, that's 22nd. And their passing yards per game, 256.9, that's 31st in the National Football League. What does this say? It's a great, tremendous, awesome opportunity for Brock Purdy to flush that Packers performance outside of that game-winning, big stones, big cock Brock clutch drive and get back on track and throwing the football. And I wonder how it's going to change the game plan for Kyle Shanahan, who in a driving rainstorm against the Packers had Brock Purdy throw 39 times. What's he going to do against this Lions team? I think they come out, try to establish the run, and if they can't run it against a very good run defense, then they go to that option of the pass. But when the Niners can get both working and they can get that offense moving downhill, one of the most difficult teams to stop in the NFL. This Lions squad, they're tough. They're physical. They are the embodiment of what their head coach Dan Campbell is all about. Everybody tried to make fun of him for talking about biting kneecaps in his introductory press conference. Honestly, that type of culture change is what the Lions needed. And this Lions team really rallies around him. Now, he's not a play caller. He played tight end in the NFL, so he doesn't see the game through a quarterback lens. He doesn't have his fingerprints on the defensive side of the ball either, but he's a great leader who's a good coach who rallies his team. They have respect for him, and they play hard. This Lions squad, they're not going to back down. They're going to fight, and they know that for them to have a chance of pulling off the upset, they're going to need to stop the run. Key thing to watch, number 3. San Francisco's weapons against this Detroit Lions secondary. And for some of the reasons that we talked about, with Purdy going up against this porous and very, very wobbly Lions passing defense. That secondary has some holes in it. Now, I've said it all week. I'd be shocked if Deebo Samuel is kept out of this game. Awesome this year when he was on the field. 60 catches, 892 yards, 7 touchdowns, but we know the unique threat that he poses as a running back wide receiver. And when you get the ball in his hands, whether it's a long ball, whether it's a crosser, whether it's an out route, whether it's a shallow cross, whether it's a bubble screen, jet sweep, handoff, he's so special, he's so dynamic that he can always take the ball to the crib. And his status is going to go a long way in the Niners' opportunity to win this football game. But the Niners have dogs outside of Deebo Samuel as well. Brandon Ayuk career year, 75 catches, more than 1,300 yards, 7 touchdowns. Second team All-Pro. George Kittle, a first team All-Pro. The only tight end in the NFL this year to have more than 1,000 yards through the air. His first 1,000-yard season since 2019 as Brock Purdy really helped elevate his game. That came on 65 catches and 6 touchdowns. And we know how special Christian McCaffrey is, right? 272 carries, almost 1,500 yards, 14 rushing touchdowns. And then on top of that, he had 7 receiving touchdowns as well. So you have Deebo Samuel. And if and when he plays, you have the other weapons on top of that. The edge here would go to the Niners in really trying to attack that Lions secondary, and I hope Kyle Shanahan is aggressive in doing so. And then my last key to the game is this Niners defensive line against this Lions offensive line. Jonah Jackson, knee injury, most likely out. Frank Ragnow, all-pro center, really, really good. He's banged up. Because the Lions are ailing on the interior, what I want to see from San Francisco, Steve Wilks, Kyle Shanahan, Chris Kocurek, this entire staff, I want to see you take advantage of the Lions being weak on the interior. Penei Sewell, fantastic player, right tackle. Nick Bosa is going to have a tough time. But Nick Bosa can win, and others can win if you're running twists, if you're running stunts, you're running gains. Twists, stunts, gains galore. I need to see it because it just allows you to exploit the weakness on that Lions offensive line, and in the process, you're able to generate pressure on Jared Goff, put him under siege, and he's simply not as efficient of a quarterback. So with that, I ask you this. Predict the score. Niners, Lions. I've said all week, San Francisco 35-31. That's my final score. What say you?